I work in this site for many years. These warriors are all life-sized, like real soldiers.
What if I told you that one of the world's most magnificent archaeological wonders was actually designed as a massive death trap? In 2025, scientists finally cracked the code behind China's legendary Terracotta Army, and what they discovered will make you question everything you thought you knew about ancient civilizations. This isn't just another historical mystery solved, it's a revelation that has left archaeologists terrified and government officials scrambling to keep the truth hidden. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn will completely change how you see these ancient warriors. The discovery that started it all. Picture this. It's 1974, and a group of Chinese farmers are simply trying to dig a well during a devastating drought. Their shovels hit something hard, pottery fragments scattered in the earth. What seemed like broken ceramics turned out to be pieces of one of humanity's greatest archaeological treasures. But here's what most people don't realize about that discovery. Those farmers almost died from mysterious illnesses shortly after their find. When officials arrived to investigate, they uncovered something that defied imagination. Thousands upon thousands of life-sized clay soldiers, each one meticulously crafted with individual facial features, armor details, and weapons. These weren't mass-produced figures. Each warrior was unique, standing in perfect military formation as if waiting for battle orders that would never come. The scale was absolutely mind-blowing. We're talking about over 8,000 soldiers, 130 chariots, 520 horses, and 150 cavalry units spread across multiple underground chambers. But here's where things get strange. The deeper archaeologists dug, the more unsettling details they uncovered. The warriors weren't just standing guard, they were positioned in a very specific formation, all facing east as if protecting something from a particular direction. The Emperor's obsession revealed. To understand what scientists discovered in 2025, you need to know about the man behind this massive undertaking, Emperor Huang. This wasn't just any ruler. This was a man so obsessed with immortality and control that he unified all of China under his iron fist. But his greatest obsession wasn't ruling the living, it was controlling what happened after his death. Ancient records describe his tomb as containing rivers of mercury, a ceiling embedded with pearls to mimic the night sky, and mechanical crossbows designed to kill intruders. For decades, experts dismissed these as exaggerated legends. But in 2025, scientists realized these weren't myths. They were blueprints for the world's most elaborate security system. The emperor didn't just want to be buried with honors. He wanted to create an eternal empire underground, complete with an army that would guard his secrets forever. And, as we're about to see, he succeeded in ways that would make modern security experts jealous. Strange discoveries in the soil. Here's where the story takes a dark turn. As excavations continued over the decades, researchers began noticing disturbing patterns. Workers at the site frequently reported headaches, dizziness, and respiratory problems. Initially, officials blamed heat exhaustion or dust exposure, but soil samples told a different story. The earth around the Terracotta Army contained mercury levels hundreds of times higher than normal. This wasn't just contamination, it was a systematic poisoning of the entire area. Scientists also found elevated levels of arsenic, lead compounds, and other toxic materials that had no business being in ancient Chinese soil. But the most shocking discovery was the chromium. The bronze weapons buried with the warriors showed virtually no rust after 2,000 years underground. At first, archaeologists celebrated this as evidence of advanced ancient metallurgy. The truth was far more sinister. The weapons weren't rust-resistant by design. They were preserved by the toxic environment they were buried in. Think about that for a moment. These warriors weren't just standing in formation, they were standing in a carefully engineered chemical bath designed to preserve them while poisoning anyone who got too close. The 2025 breakthrough. In early 2025, a joint research team from China, Germany, and the UK made a discovery that sent shockwaves through the archaeological world. Using advanced ground-penetrating radar and chemical analysis, they uncovered sealed ceramic containers buried beneath the warriors' feet. These containers held concentrated doses of arsenic trioxide mixed with cinnabar, a mercury-based compound. But here's the terrifying part. These weren't random placements. The containers were strategically positioned throughout the site, connected by an intricate network of underground channels that allowed toxic vapors to circulate through the entire complex. The Terracotta Army wasn't just a monument. It was a massive chemical weapons system designed to kill anyone who dared disturb the Emperor's rest. The research team's leaked report used chilling language. We are not dealing with a burial site. We are dealing with an ancient booby trap of unprecedented scale and sophistication. The Emperor had essentially turned his own tomb into a toxic waste dump, with his clay army serving as both guardians and warnings. Underground ventilation of death. Perhaps the most disturbing evidence came from studying the site's architecture. Using advanced imaging technology, scientists discovered an elaborate ventilation system running beneath the warrior pits. At first, this seemed like advanced engineering for preservation. The reality was much darker. These weren't ventilation shafts for fresh air. They were distribution channels for poisonous gases. The system was designed to ensure that mercury vapors and other toxic compounds would spread evenly throughout the underground complex, creating what researchers now call a chemical perimeter around the Emperor's tomb. This explains why so many excavation workers over the decades experienced health problems that officials couldn't explain. They weren't just uncovering ancient artifacts. They were breathing in a 2,000-year-old chemical weapon that was still active. The cover-up begins. Once the 2025 findings became clear, a strange thing happened. Silence. Researchers who had been eager to share their discoveries suddenly stopped giving interviews. Access to certain areas of the site was quietly restricted. The Chinese government, which had always been protective of the site, began limiting excavation permits even further. Internal documents that were leaked revealed the true extent of the danger. Some areas near the warrior pits were classified with hazard ratings typically reserved for nuclear waste sites. The term delayed exposure risk appeared repeatedly in safety reports, indicating that disturbing certain areas could trigger the release of concentrated toxins that had been dormant for centuries. Museums around the world began quietly reassessing artifacts from the Qin dynasty, testing them for contamination that no one had thought to look for before. Some institutions even removed exhibits pending safety reviews. What lies beneath? The most terrifying aspect of the 2025 discovery isn't what was found. It's what remains hidden. The Emperor's main tomb, the centerpiece of this entire complex, has never been opened. And now we know why. If the outer defenses were this elaborate and dangerous, what horrors await in the burial chamber itself? Satellite imaging reveals that the unopened tomb is just the tip of the iceberg. The underground complex stretches for miles, with chambers and structures that haven't even been mapped yet. Some areas show metallic signatures that can't be explained. Others contain air currents that suggest active ventilation systems still functioning after 2 millennia. Recent analysis suggests that opening the main tomb could trigger a catastrophic release of concentrated mercury vapor and other toxins that have been building up pressure underground for 2,000 years. It wouldn't just be dangerous for archaeologists, it could create an environmental disaster affecting the entire region. The Emperor's final victory. In the end, Emperor Huang achieved exactly what he set out to do. He created an eternal empire that no one could conquer, not through military might, but through fear and poison. His Terracotta Army doesn't just guard his tomb, it guards his ultimate secret, that death was just another battlefield he refused to lose. The warriors stand as silent sentinels, not just of ancient glory, but of ancient terror. They remind us that even 2,000 years ago, absolute power came with absolute paranoia. And sometimes the greatest monuments to human achievement are also monuments to human darkness. Scientists solved the Terracotta Army mystery in 2025, and it definitely isn't good. What we thought was one of humanity's greatest treasures turns out to be one of its most dangerous secrets. The next time you see those perfectly preserved warriors, remember, they're not just standing guard over an emperor's tomb. They're standing guard over a chemical time bomb that could still claim lives today. What do you think about this incredible revelation? Could there be other ancient sites hiding similar dark secrets? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story opened your eyes to the hidden dangers lurking in our most famous archaeological sites, hit that like button and subscribe for more shocking historical revelations that challenge everything you thought you knew about the ancient world. Trust me, there are more secrets buried in history than you can imagine.